Well, that was stunningly beautiful. That was music by Federico Garcia Lorca, and it was Isabel Leonard from her CD Preludios. And the COC, I want to tell you about this. The Canadian Opera Company opens their 2016-17 season with a new production of Bellini's Norma. It opens at the Four Seasons Center for the Performing Arts on October 6th, runs for 8 performances. And with us to talk about it is mezzo-soprano Isabel Leonard, who just sang that beautiful song. And she also sings, in this case, the role of Adalgisa. And with us to talk about it is Isabel right now. Good morning, Isabel.
Good morning.
So this is quite different repertoire we're talking about here.
Absolutely.
Now, so give us just a short précis of the story and your role in it.
The quickest way of explaining it, it's a love triangle, of course, between Pollione, Adalgisa, and Norma. And honestly, I would just say come and see it because it's not the typical love triangle in that everybody's just chasing the other person. There's a lot of that. However, it's based in much deeper emotions and much more troubled time in their lives. It's just a very exciting story and great colleagues to flush it out.
You sure do, boy. And your Norma is Sandra Radvanovsky, and you're a friend of hers, but
yeah, we've been friends for a while now. Because you see your colleagues in different places all over the world, and then you can't quite remember how you met them in the first place. But, we've walked red carpets together. We've had a lot of fun in that regard, and it's just so nice to really get a chance to actually work together.
So how is that working together? And this is the first time you've done an opera with her. Is that correct? How has that affected your portrayal of Adalgisa?
At this point, my portrayal is still developing and it's still evolving. I love the relationship that Sandra and I have been creating together between these two women. And so much of it is based on their faith, and so much of it is based on not only their love for Pollione, but almost most importantly, their love for each other and their respect for each other. And that's so much a part of the relationship as well. And it really informs, it informs both of them, but of course for me, from my perspective, it really informs Adalgisa's decision-making process. And it's also connected to her faith and everything. So it's just very interesting. And Sandra's great, and we're complete goofballs. So of course, every time we get into a moment that's actually really emotional, we probably wreck it for everybody at rehearsals at first because we're being goofs. And then, of course, we get serious about it. But, we run the gamut of the emotions.
Right. Sometimes it takes that laughter to get you into a more serious frame of mind.
And at times, you think, oh, God, I don't really feel like crying right now. So I'm just going to work it out differently.
Great idea. Yeah. Who is Adalgisa?
Well, she's a young priestess. And she is, at least how we have constructed the story so far, because I think in opera there's enough room for you can create a world that you'd like it to be. All these stories can be so specific, and you could regurgitate what's been put out in front of you, but we have so far built this world where Adalgisa is a young priestess, and she's probably next in line. She's probably Norma's right-hand woman, so to speak. And she right now is sort of coming into a crisis in her life where she's struggling between her love for Pollione and her love for her faith, and her responsibility and what she has vowed to be and what she has sworn to be. And now she's she's in love with a man.
Right. And there's a little bit of a problem there with you. And in that triangle, is there not?
Well, there's a problem with everybody in that.
But you become a lover to him. Is that not correct?
Well, but yeah, she's in love with him.
Yeah.
She has a relationship with this man, and and of course she finds out later that he and Norma are actually were also together, and not only that, but they have 2 children, and that's of course a big no-no for Norma, and nobody really knows about her children, and I only find out about that later as well. So it's all a big mess. Not too far from real life, though.
Right.
Honestly.
And how important
Not
is
my
it?
life, though.
Fair enough. How
Let's
important?
get that straight.
Yes, exactly. How important is it for you to like a role when you're singing it? The character, that is.
Um, you know, it's a good question, actually, because there are plenty of roles where you go through liking them and disliking them, or you like the character, but you may not love the music, or you love the music, but the character isn't as interesting as you were hoping they would be. There are lots of different permutations for that question.
Mhm.
I think that for me, ultimately, you just have to be that character. And part of being that character is whether you, yourself, who you are on your day-to-day life, whether they like the character or not, isn't so much the issue. It's if you can respect that character and you can just be that character, then you naturally like the character. Because generally speaking, it's like when people say, how do you play a bad guy or something? You don't play a bad guy. You don't say, I'm such a bad person and I'm playing a bad guy. You just are that person, and generally a bad guy's not going to think they're a bad guy.
No.
Right? So it's sort of the same idea. It's you just play that person.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, hopefully you try not to judge yourself in the process, because then it just gets confusing.
It does, doesn't it? So Norma is described as Bellini's bel canto masterpiece. And so personally, when I heard your voice, I thought, oh my gosh, this is just the most beautiful bel canto singing. So let's talk about bel canto for a second. There was a bel canto period, and there's also the bel canto style of singing, isn't there? And so tell me about bel canto. What does that mean for you?
Well, it technically means beautiful singing.
Right.
There you go. Juilliard education right there. I mean, you know, for me, this is the first for me. So in another 5 years, ask me again, and I'll have probably a host of other things to tell you. I can tell you, however, though, that the nature of the music and the words lends itself to extraordinary singing, I think. And not only just from everybody, from my colleagues, from the orchestra, from the conductor, everything becomes very fluid, and it works very much in tandem with the text. So you can find, the impetus for a line can come from the orchestra, it can come from an action on stage, it can come from the breath that you take before singing. And all of that, to me, is very fulfilling, because it all becomes part of one storytelling. It's not this sort of disjunct story or mode of communication.
Right.
It becomes very fluid, and I think that's really what bel canto is all about.
Beautiful. Absolutely. And you always know with bel canto singing, don't you, that it's sort of a singer gives, you never think that they've reached their maximum, or they're going over or pushing their voice too much. There's always sort of like 80%, and you know that there's more if they want. So that, hence, beautiful singing. It's nothing forced in the style.
Right. I think so. I mean, there's, again, you run the gamut of the emotions and of the vocal limits, particularly, at least within this piece. It's such a dramatic piece, and there's so much emotional drama that you can definitely, like you said, kind of walk up to that line and not necessarily cross it,
right?
But kind of get your toe on it, perhaps. And those are the moments that you choose carefully throughout the piece.
Because the danger is over singing, right?
Well, that's a danger no matter what. And
no matter what,
that's a danger technically. I mean, that's a kind of a whole other conversation. But yes, I think particularly in this piece, because of the nature of the emotions, if you let the emotion take over all the time, you definitely run the risk of crossing that line in a bad way.
Yeah.
But otherwise, if you just get kind of real close to that line, that's when you break everybody's hearts, including your own.
And it must be particularly wonderful then, singing with Sandra, because you just listen to yourself and her, and you make beautiful music.
Yeah, we have a great time.
I'm so glad.
It's just lovely. It's really wonderful. I stare at her when she sings high notes.
I don't
being
blame
the
you.
mezzo that I am, I kind of look at her going, what? How on earth? Oh, that is just amazing. Just staring. And then, of course, I miss an entrance more often than not because I'm staring.
That's all right. You're in rehearsals.
Yeah.
Now, the conductor, Stephen Lord, and he's made a specialty of bel canto opera. Um, so far, how have you benefited by Stephen's expertise?
Well, Stephen is an incredibly generous conductor. He has an innate ability to tell what tempo and what tempo and how you can produce sound. He knows by listening to you sing after a few rehearsals what will work best for you.
Mm-hmm.
And he just does that without any, it's not a lot of chat, it's not a lot of detailed planning, so to speak. He just has that great innate ability to breathe and conduct with a singer in a way that makes everything easier.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a gift. It's a gift for a singer, and it's a gift for the audience too, because it won't feel like there's this clash of minds between the conductor and the singer. You'll get this sense that everything is moving along just as it should.
And the thing about Stephen Lord is also that he truly loves singers.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not going to be, he's not in there with attitude. He's just in there to make beautiful music.
And that's exactly it. I mean, and we can feel that from day one in rehearsal and even more as the days go on, because you can be in rehearsal for 3 hours singing and you're not tired and you don't feel like your larynx is about to go on vacation
He's
permanently.
so mindful, isn't he?
Yeah, he's very mindful.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we could go on forever. I certainly could go on forever because it's so fascinating and it's such a pleasure to speak with you.
Yeah, likewise.
I'm very excited to see you perform this role, and especially after you recently did La Clemenza di Tito in the role of Sestro, and that was stunning.
And they're both new roles for me here. So you guys are getting me at my utmost new role stages. Yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking for me, but I like it. It's fun.
The first time it's always nerve-wracking, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's kind of getting new shoes and stuff.
Exactly, kind of break them in.
Yeah. Well, Isabel, I want to thank you so much for coming in this morning.
Well, thanks for having me.
And we've been speaking with mezzo-soprano Isabel Leonard. Isabel sings the role of Adalgisa in the Canadian Opera Company's season opener and Bellini's Norma. Now, it opens October 6th at the Four Seasons Centre for the Performing Arts. For tickets, go to coc.ca or call 416-363-8231.